Welcome back, Truth Seeker, July 20th, 2019. For a little bit of review, let's do the moon landing by the numbers. It happened 50 years ago today. The lunar rover supposedly touched down, and then the next day, July 21st, Neil Armstrong supposedly set foot on the moon, followed by Buzz Aldrin. So why did this happen on the date it did in light of what we know about NASA, an agency controlled by Freemasonry that does everything by the code, the Kabbalistic code of letters and numbers, which is Gematria, which also relates to astrology. So the moon landing happened in the time of Cancer. Cancer, the astrological symbol for Cancer looks like 69, and the moon landing was in 1969. And notice in Gematria, Cancer equals 44, as does space. Cancer is ruled by the moon in astrology. Thus, you get your moon landing in the time of Cancer. The name Armstrong, the first man supposedly to touch down on the moon, his name also equals 44. And of course, Buzz Aldrin, who's a Mason, supposedly brought the Scottish Rite Freemason flag to the moon. If you're not familiar with Freemason symbolism, this is their royal arch. Notice it pays tribute to astrology. At the center of the top of the royal arch is the 69, or it's actually the Cancer symbol. Right at the top, their crowning achievement, the moon landing mission, or so they say. The date of the moon landing mission was July 20th, 69, a date with numerology of 96 and 115. Also the same as the date numerology of the Kennedy assassination. And don't forget, it was JFK who dreamt up the moon mission years earlier, the beginning of the 60s. But 96 and 115, Freemason equals 96, Masonic equals 115. And here's the Freemason artifact, which is on display in Washington, D.C. at the House of the Temple, the Scottish Rite headquarters. Supposedly this flag with the 33rd degree on it was taken to the moon by Buzz Aldrin. And take a look at this. Man on the moon. The phrase associated with the landing. Man on the moon equals 57, like Scottish Rite, like moon, like conspiracy. How perfect. And notice Neil Armstrong and Scottish Rite both have perfect overlap with the alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order of the rules of numerology. Neil Armstrong's father was a Mason. In case you are new here, you do have to know there are 4 base ciphers. Scottish Rite is 165 when you use the alphabetic order. That's just A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. Scottish Rite's 57 when you use the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. That's just making each letter a single-digit number. So S, the first letter in Scottish, S is the 19th letter. The numerology of 19 is 1. 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1, so on. The next cipher is the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So counting in reverse, S is the 8th letter. Z is 1 back to A is 26. So S is 8. And the last cipher is the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So again, numerology is just making each letter a single-digit number. So notice in reverse, A is the 26th letter. 2 plus 6 is 8. So those are your 4 base ciphers. And this thing was a giant Masonic Scottish Rite ritual. Now notice that Neil Armstrong, his full name is Neil Aidan Armstrong, and he was born August 5th. His full name, Neil Aidan Armstrong, equals 201. And that, I'm actually saying his middle name wrong, Alden, Neil Alden Armstrong. Neil Alden Armstrong, with the alphabetic order, sums to 201. And why does that matter? Because the moon landing was July 20th, the 201st day of the year, and he's the name most associated with the moon landing. With the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, his name sums to 84 as well, as does Masonry, as does United States of America. His August 5th birthday can be written 5/8 like 58. Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, Secret Society, they're all 58. Again, Freemasonry was born out of the Rosicrucian order. famous member of the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians was King James, who dropped dead at age 58. It's not by accident that NASA was established in the year 58. Again, it's an agency run by Freemasonry. And just to take a little pause from this moon landing thing, again, this code of letters and numbers, it's a biblical code. Revelation 13:18 is about the person with wisdom knows how to calculate the number of the beast, which is 666. The other year, NASA kept a astronaut a record amount of days in space, and they did 666 days. Notice NASA, what the full name stands for, sums to 666. So again, NASA is all about this code. Every single thing NASA does is by this biblical code of letters and numbers, which is Gematria, which comes from Kabbalah, which is rich within the Bible. Kabbalists say if you don't understand Kabbalah, you don't really understand the Bible. And from what I know, I'd have to say that's most definitely true. So NASA, the 666 agency that it is, the Kabbalist agency that it is, everything about it from start date to the present is done by this code. I can't emphasize it enough. Notice the date it was established, July 29th, 1958, a date with 113 numerology. And Scottish is 113. Michael Collins, who was one of the 3 men supposedly on the moon mission, his birthday is October 31st. And from the date that they supposedly first landed on the moon to his birthday that year was 103 days. Scottish is 103 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Notice Collins equals 84. Collins equals 84 and 105. Masonry is 105 and 84. Look at Neil Alden Armstrong, 84 and 105. All Masonry. His first name was Michael. Notice Michael's 33 like Kennedy. Kennedy dreamt up the moon mission. Supposedly they took off from Kennedy Space Center. Michael, Kennedy, Masonry, Federal Secrecy Order, they're all 33. They took up that Scottish Rite flag with the 33 degrees on it. Lunar also equals 33. And then there's Buzz Aldrin, who was born Edwin Aldrin Jr., name that equals 84, and you understand why. Edwin Aldrin Jr. is also 69, like how the moon landing happened in 69. He was the second man to walk on the moon after Neil Armstrong, supposedly. His nickname Buzz sums to 33, go figure, and his nickname Buzz Aldrin sums to 137, the 33rd prime. And just to talk a bit more about 137, government equals 137. Washington, D.C. equals 137. Government means mind control. I can spell mind control right. You'll see it equals 137. And think about that. That is what this was all about. You know, propaganda to control the mind's eye of the masses. To make them think, oh, wow, how amazing. What a great nation. What a great agency. And now here we are 50 years later. And how much money do we give NASA every single day? Literally over $50 million per day is how much money we as taxpayers give NASA. And what's their great accomplishment? You know, when you think of NASA, you pretty much think of one thing, the moon landing mission. And what did that really do for the world, even if it did happen? What can you do with $50 million a day? Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Imagine giving $50 million a day to impoverished communities throughout this nation. You know, how many neighborhoods could you help rebuild and build up? And again, I'm not for government at all, and I'm not for wealth redistribution, but I'm just making the point. We do have this government that spends extravagantly, and is it really worth spending over $50 million a day on NASA? Really? I want to make another point, though, about this 137 encoding in Buzz Aldrin. Let's go right here. English to Hebrew. And let's type in Kabbalah. Kabbalah in Hebrew. And let's come to the calculator. And let's go to Hebrew Gematria. And let's put in Kabbalah. And do you see that it's 137? In the Freemason text Morals and Dogma, which there's actually a statue of in Washington, D.C., notice Morals and Dogma is 137. In that text says Masonry owes all thanks to Kabbalah. Just did a presentation on this the other day. Written by Albert Pike, the Freemason war general, the only Confederate war general who still has a soldier or a statue up in Washington, D.C. But none of these numbers are by accident, and it's not an accident that all three men that supposedly participate in the moon mission have all this Gematria overlap and all names that code out to Masonry and Scottish rites, etc., etc. I forgot to do Buzz Aldrin's birthday to the moon landing, but his birthday was January 20th, right? So the 20th day of the year. And we covered the moon landing was on the 201st day of the year. Again, Neil Armstrong's name equals 201. So that means it was 181 days after his birthday. And 181 is the 42nd prime number. So 181 days after Buzz's birthday, 42nd prime. And what's 42? Freemason in the most pure cipher is 42. So is outer space. Outer space, 42. So that's not an accident either. One more Freemason encoding. And notice the launch date, July 16th. And it returned July 24th. They were traveling on a Saturn V rocket that launched from Kennedy Space Center. Saturn V sums to 115 and 74. Masonic is 115 and 74. Saturn V is also 47, like the 47 degrees on the Masonic compass. With regards to that launch date of July 16th, that date can be written 16/7. Notice United States is 167. 167 is also the 39th prime number. Another big number with Masonry. Masonry's 39. Secrecy's 39. Federal's 39. If I'm not mistaken, lunar. Or I guess I am mistaken. Lunar is not 39, but that's right, it's 69. And again, your moon landing in 1969. But none of these numbers by accident. The date, July 24th, 1969, 7 plus 24 is 31, plus 19 is 50, plus 69 is 119. 119. Important symbolism to the Masons is the all-seeing eye. And again, it's about capturing the mind's eye of the masses. All-seeing eye, 119. Notice how mind controls 56 and 61. Look at all-seeing eye again. 56, 61. So the spacecraft was called the Apollo CSM-107. Notice the 137 and 47, familiar numbers. As for this taking off from Kennedy Space Center, notice that sums to 187. What's etched on the House of the Temple, the Scottish Rite headquarters in D.C., is ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which equals 187. Don't forget that JFK, John F. Kennedy, was killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason, in the 187th year of the nation's existence, 1963. And on the date 11/22, notice JFK assassinations 187. the cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. So for example, J, the 10th letter is 10 times 6, so J is 60. F, the 6th letter is 6 times 6, so F is 36. K, the 11th letter is 11 times 6, so K is 66. A is 6, so on. JFK assassination equals 1122, just like how he was reportedly shot dead November 22nd, 1122 in the 187th year of the nation's existence. Part of the reason, seriously, you guys, I mean, think about the members of the Kennedy family are out there. Think about how long I've been pumping out this information. Don't you think if anyone in that family was serious about figuring out what really happened to their family member, they would have reached out to me by now? I mean, seriously. How could you just look at this stuff and think it's a coincidence? I'm telling you, all of this political stuff that we've gotten over the years, the assassinations, the moon landing, all of it, it's all theater. It's all part of an agenda. And look at what happened because of all the 60s assassinations. It made everybody a bunch of turtles who aren't willing to stick their heads out, you know. So my parents were children back then. They both told me the same thing growing up, you know. It's best to just go with the flow, lay low. Otherwise, you get in trouble in this world. That's how people get hurt. That's what all this propaganda did, all this political theater. And don't be the person telling me that you've seen the Zapruder films. Zapruder, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. Films that weren't clear to anyone until the 90s. You know, I got news for you. When people die in the movies, they don't really die. But anyway, JFK, the date he was assassinated, a date with 115 and 96 numerology, just like the date numerology of the moon landing, which was dreamt up by old JFK. And then July 21st, the day that they set foot on the moon, again, the vehicle supposedly landed July 20th, and then they walked on the moon officially July 21st, which is the day leaving 163 days left in the year. That's the 38th prime number, and moon in Hebrew sums to 38. For a few more things to know, outer space and conspiracy in 3 of the 4 base ciphers, perfect overlap. Spaceship and Freemason in all 4 ciphers, perfect overlap. And look at the phrase man on the moon, 147, like Freemason, like spaceship, like conspiracy, like outer space. And with regards to conspiracy summing to 51, a lot of people say the moon landings were filmed by Stanley Kubrick at Area 51. And as I say that out loud, there's actually something I've never looked into before, and we'll just do that in real time. I wonder how many days it is from Stanley Kubrick's birthday to the date of the supposed moon landing. Stanley Kubrick, by the way, here I'll show you this about Stanley Kubrick real quick. He made 2001: A Space Odyssey. He died on the 66th day of the year, March 7th, 1991. Check this out. March 7th, 1999 to January 1st, 2001. He died 666 days before 2001, a movie that had a lot to do with space. As we covered earlier, the full name for NASA sums to 666. Never seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. It has a lot to do with space and technology overtaking man. So Stanley Kubrick dead 666 days. And here's the other piece about that. If you write out Space Odyssey, you see how it equals 156? Look what happens when you write out 666. 156. It's actually got overlap in 3 of the 4 ciphers, 666 and Space Odyssey. And again, Space Odyssey 2001, he ends up dying 666 days before 2001. And then not only that, but again, he died on March 7th, which is the 66th day of the year. And number of the beast is 66 in the most pure cipher. Number of the beast Notice 666 is also 87 too, just like Number of the Beast. Isn't it just such a trip how all this stuff is so perfectly encoded? But yeah, that's no accident there about old Stanley. And so let's see, March 7th, or no, that was the day he died. What was his birthday? July 26th. So actually, so that means that it was right before his birthday. It was 6 days before his birthday. Okay. And he would have turned 41 6 days after. So he was 40 years old. Just shy of 41. United States is 40. Something else. Also, Hollywood recently put out a movie called First Man, starred Ryan Gosling. Notice how they emphasized controversy. This movie about the moon landing, controversy 57, man on the moon 57, Scottish Rite, moon, Ryan Gosling is even 57, as is conspiracies we covered. So I think all these other points we hit pretty thoroughly. They released that film on October 12th, 2018, a date with 33 numerology. October is the only month that sums to 33. Astronauts often wear orange 33. So the movie came out 48 days or a 49 from the anniversary of the death of Neil Armstrong. Freemason sums to 48 in Hebrew and English. The span of 49 connects to Scottish, is in the Scottish Rite. It was also a span of 84 days from the day he set down his foot on the moon. As we covered, his full name equals 84, Masonry 84, Neil Alden Armstrong 84. It's like I skipped that in this post I made here. But just goes to show, from the way they do it with the movies to the way it's presented to us, it's all the same. See how they give you a minute 39 clip, Freemasonry 139, America 139, the Bavarian Illuminati 139. That's the Freemason secret society that named this nation, literally. So anyway, just wanted to hit you with those fun facts. And I don't know. I guess, again, all I can say is don't be a coincidence theorist. Oh, yeah. One other thing I can say is if you're on Facebook, be sure to check out the page Daily Dose of Gematria. There's a community of people here who are passionate about this work, working together, sharing information, making new finds. So if you're on Facebook and you feel lonely, sign up for Daily Dose of Gematria to find some people just like you, people who care about the truth. All right, Truth Seeker. Oh, and I should mention that thank you to everyone who supported this work the past year. Today's my last day of being 35 years old. It is my birthday tomorrow. And could have been a lot different year. Last August, I had the FBI come to my door and falsely accuse me of something that I had not said. And my sweet lady, she was just like so worried about that I was getting threatened. She told me I better retire. She said, "You've done enough. People aren't supporting your book. You're getting in trouble. You got to move on." And I said, all right. I said, let me put out one last word and let people know what's up then. And everything changed after that. People started to support the book. People started to support the Patreon page. And that was enough to let my sweet lady keep me going. So 35 was a pretty good year, and want to keep the momentum going and push it further, because still the goal is to establish the Gematria News Network with a team of people actually working together in a room and having the resources to travel and do some real on-the-ground investigation, because that's the missing piece. And something I am working on right now is traveling to Colorado. I really would like to go to the prison where Chris Watts is. I find that to be a really interesting story by the numbers, and since he's still living, I would like to talk to him. So that's something I'm working on right now to see if I can make that happen. And if it does, I'll be sure to keep everyone posted. But that's the one missing piece. We can see what's going on, but we still need some on-the-ground reporting and some real interviews and some real feedback from the people and stories we're looking at. So thanks again for everyone who made 35 special. For the people who've been sitting on the fence and still haven't made any kind of investment in this work, and realize, I mean, if you invest $5 in my book, it's you who's getting the way better end of that deal. It took me 5 years to write that book. I had to lose everything to write it. And you're getting an 800-page book with life-changing knowledge for $5. So costs less than a fast food meal that'll kill you. So, and please don't ask me where to get the book. It's linked in the description of literally every single video. Just learn to look at the description of a YouTube video. It's all there, the Patreon page, the blog, everything. So that said, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day. I'm going to go for a hike, and I hope you have a great rest of your day as well. Till next time, Truth Seeker.